Okay, and we are back. Yep, everything's working like it should. Wonder why it's left on green and blue. That's weird. Oh well. Either way, we are back, and we are going to draw some stuff. So let's see. Let's get my colors that I like. Yep. Good, good. Let's zoom in a little bit here. I do want to do an action pose, don't I? I think that's what I'm gonna do. Let's do... I know. Okay. Hmm. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Well, we'll keep that around, but it's still not quite what I'm looking for. Maybe something a little more exaggerated. Because I was trying to get that. I was trying to get that kind of swoosh kind of feel. Something more like, let's see. Yeah, actually, I like that. I like that a lot. Something more like that. Hmm. More like a little bit longer. There we go. Might shorten up the legs. And maybe we do more like that. Have him kind of looking up and over this way. In which case, maybe we bring his arm out a little bit. There we go. And then I think that would actually end up bringing a lot of the torso, or a lot of the, more like this. Okay. Fade that out. Let's define some features. I think I might exaggerate the features a little bit more. I don't like that line. Let me pull up some reference. I've drawn this guy so many times before, but I feel like I could use some reference. Yeah, because he's got big old Popeye arms and hands and stuff. It's going to be kind of like that. And then that's going to basically bring this pectoral way, way up, like an acute angle kind of deal. And then the other pectoral will be kind of just regular. And then the rib cage. And then this is kind of his, you know, guts and stuff. As one does. His belly button's going to be like right there, because it's going to be like along that line, which means we're going to go kind of out to here. And then he's got little spindly legs. Not too spindly, but you know, because they attach there, just about. So then they're gonna come down here, and that's gonna be his toe point there. His other one is gonna be tucked more underneath him. And then this big old gorilla hand is gonna be like kind of turned out. A little bit. I might need to actually push that away from his torso a little bit more. The shoulder is back. Like, he's got one forward shoulder, one back shoulder, but like it may need to just come like straight out. More like that. And then you gotta get the twist in there. And he's only got 3 fingers. That's pretty important. That actually, having that gap in there makes the legs feel a whole lot better too, as well as the arm. Which I like. Okay, and then of course he's got ears. He's actually got kind of big ears, I feel like, maybe. Not too bad. And then we'll just fade that out and go on to the next one. Actually, we can probably lose some of these bottom layers too. Just work with the top 2 layers right now. Now we're gonna try something that I'm trying to pick up, which is just, you know, muscle definition, essentially. So like here, right, this is pectoral muscle, and then the shoulder muscle. The shoulder muscle, especially for this one, is going to be super important, because he's got a big old kind of shoulder muscle there. That just goes like right up over the top of that. And then this pectoral muscle, you know, also need to get some dimension and depth to that as well. Also the xiphoid process, which is about here. That's the xiphoid process is kind of interesting. It's kind of a little soft spot right beneath your rib cage. Anyway, so that's going to be like about there, and then you're going to have his abs. Got to decide which direction his abs are going in. Ah! So we're going to do like that, I think. Yeah, because this one is especially okay. So here we go. Get the xiphoid process in there like that. Get that going. This ab, these are going to be crunched together on this side. Like that, right? And then on this side, we've actually got a lot more. And again, it kind of all comes out of here. But we've got a lot more of a stretch through here. So the abs get to stretch out some more too. And then that leads down into the groin, which we can just kind of get away with as just doing a panel right now. There's a... I gotta bring up a schematic. Because human musculature is a little weird. And I'm not, you know, he's not human, obviously, but a lot of this is based off of human musculature because, of course, it is. But, like, if I bring this in, like, bam, like, you can kind of see where I'm going with this, right? Like, I've done these, and then that, and then the xiphoid process is, like, right there, right? So then the shoulder muscle, which I did, right? And then you got the neck muscles, which I haven't done yet, but they're kind of at a funny angle, so I'm going to work on those as well. But you got this, like, this whole thing, and I'm not sure exactly how to pull that off necessarily. I guess we just put a kind of a stretch in there, and then you know what? I put the xiphoid too low. Ah! Oh, this is, because it's on different, yeah, okay. Yeah, I put the xiphoid way too low, because he actually needs to have, like, another whole thing there, and then that would be his final ab muscle, and then we got kind of just this big old stretch on in there, and then this part underneath the kind of in the, I guess, by your ribs, right? there's a number of muscles that kind of just stretch up this way, kind of a kind of deal. So that's gonna be a whole thing. And those, of course, are basically going to go all the way up into the armpit, essentially. Like that. Then we're gonna stretch. Let's see. This muscle. This is okay. So this is the shoulder muscle. So the and then this shoulder muscle is actually over here. So then this pectoral muscle gets to be a little bit more relaxed than the other one. And then I made some modification that you can see in the character's original design. I gave him kind of a really, really thick neck and neckline and everything, so. Hey, Lizard, how's it going? Yeah, muscles are tough. Because you gotta get, like, especially different kinds of muscle. Like, it'd be way easier if I had, like, just a model posing the, you know, doing the pose that I want for me. Right, but I don't have that, so. And then I gotta figure out how his neck interacts with his shoulder being, like, way up there, because he's got these big ol' honkin', like, neck muscles in the back here that and just wrap around kind of his whole thing. So I think I've just figured it out. By doing all that, I think his head is actually going to be pushed over here more. Kind of like that. And that's just his torso. Like, I haven't even gotten into the legs and everything. But of course, we gotta give him the glutes. Gonna put those in there. And then the legs. The leg muscles. Which are, let me bring my person back in here. Of course, whoop. Like I said, this isn't strictly a person, but you can follow the same basic idea. Or it's not strictly a human being. So his kneecap is there. He's got a bunch of muscles running through there. So he's got kind of this one muscle that you can see running down along here. So it actually runs basically from the from the outside all the way to this inside section there. And then you've got kind of this big one that goes down to the kneecap. Which gives it kind of an interesting shape, really. And then we'll do the same on this other one. But from the side, of course, it's going to act a little bit differently. Basically like that. And then this leg, the thigh muscle kind of goes up into the butt a little bit. And then his kneecap is about there, and then his leg extends down from that. And this is the part where it gets more stylized, because as you can see, he got little hooves. So we're gonna give him little hoofs. And then this leg is gonna kind of be just there in the back, like that. Okay, so we've done the shoulder muscle here, which means we've got this nice this section right here to kind of put our bicep in. Kind of just fits right in there, basically. And like you can kind of see it on this guy. It comes in here underneath the shoulder. And then he's got an outer arm muscle, but we don't have to show that right now. And then this muscle goes all the way into the sort of like your... It's not an armpit, but like the pit of your elbow. Is elbow pit a word? I don't know. Either way, slides into that real nicely. And then you get your... the rest of your arm, basically, that will extend out from that. And I've exaggerated his arm muscles quite a bit, or his forearm muscles quite a bit, because that's part of the character design, and I like it that way. And then usually what I'd do here is I'd come in here and do like the wrist would be like about that. But he's got crazy arms, so we're actually gonna just come in here. His wrist is really like this section right there, so that's where his wrist is. But his wrist is gonna be real thick, and then we're gonna take the hand and kind of just approximate it for now. And I just made his hand just made his hand a lot bigger. Which means I need to probably either shrink this down or resize the canvas. I'll shrink him for now. Just because it's simpler mechanically than resizing the entire canvas. Because this is his palm right here, and then this is gonna be, that works into his thumb, and then this is gonna be a finger, which is gonna be gripping something. And then he's just got fingers from there. So anyway, that's the arm. Oh, the curves around the armpits. These let me try and highlight them actually. Darn, actually I should not lose my purple. There we go. So like this, I have the wrong tool set. Come on. There we go. This stuff right here, like this part is the shoulder. So this is like the top of the shoulder muscle right here. And then these I'm not really sure what they're called, but like this one here is part of like the back muscle. that comes around. Oh my gosh, I saw recently I saw a magic card called Tragic Slip, I think it's called. Or no, Fatal Push. It's called Fatal Push. And somebody like redrew Mufasa on it and I just lost my mind. It was hilarious. Um I was just like I don't even know how to respond to that. It was so good. Anyway, we've got the other arm to do the muscles of. So we got the bicep coming in here, and then this is gonna turn kind of into this. Although we're not having the wrist turn away this time. So this actually just kind of goes straight down, and he's got another bit of arm going on here. I'm not going to get into all the details of this arm as much because it's not as prominent. I feel like this arm is you know in the front is much more important visually. And then his wrist, of course, is big and beefy, so we got to bring that up. And then he's going to have a hand here. This will be kind of where the thumb attaches. And then he's going to have kind of a pose with his hand open, but kind of doing a claw pose for the hand. Like that. Hoi. So lots changed there. Let's kill that layer, and then we'll narrow this down. Like this is all drawing is. You're just messing with layers upon layers of things until you start getting something that you like. I should probably go back and give his head a little bit of definition. Well, it's gonna be harder to give his head definition with the pencil size I've been using. Boop. Because now we can zoom in here. I don't need my human body anymore because I'm working with this. Now we can come in here and kind of define what this guy looks like. Because he's got these big old brow ridges. You know, you can see it. You can see it on here. He's got these big old brow ridges that are pretty extensive. And then his nose would be about here. And I gotta like kind of foreshorten that, make it look like it's there. He's actually got really big nostrils. I forgot how big I made his nostrils. They are them honk. Chunk? I don't know the word. Anyway, I gave him really big, freaking big nostrils. And then let's see, where is his mouth in relation to his nose? So this is the top of his nose. That's kind of where the top of the nose is, right there. Yeah, well, so originally this character was had a lot more horse stuff going on, but I wanted to do some other stuff to him. So like I gave him like these like cloven feet just because I liked the shape of that point. I did a lot of different redesigns. This one was kind of like an alien kind of deal. Ended up looking a little bit more. It kind of reminds me of like a jackal almost, but with a horse mouth for some reason. I kept a lot of the horse stuff just because it was part of his face. I also tried different mouths, like the bird beak and like this weird like mandible thing going on. I tried some designs with that. Some different things with the eyes. Eventually, I settled on basically this, where he's got the fangs. He's definitely got teeth, like carnivore teeth, but kind of got a sort of dragon horse face. Did some expressions. So yeah, So we're kind of doing this same he's looking up pose, but then yeah, so I gave him a really big thick neck because he's got a big he's got a big head. And so when you have a what do you call it? When you have a biped with like a big heavy head, you got to find some way to support it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Vern? That's kind of a dated reference. I'm not even as old as that reference. Okay, anyways, so his head is basically this shape. That emote looks like he's screaming. He's just like, ah! So he's gonna be kind of doing this number, looking up at the ledge he's grabbing, right? And then his ears actually come off to the side, or start on the side of his head anyway. I think I tend to exaggerate his ears a little bit too much sometimes. And I haven't really decided what pose I want the ears in, to be honest. But I'll figure that out. You know what his ears remind me of is like a Doberman. You know how they have the docked ears and they're always pointy and stuff? He's got crazy doggo ears. And now it's taking, kind of just drawing on top of this muscle. To define the shape of everything without losing, without making everything look crazy. And then that's where the armpit is, and the armpit is very important, like stupid important. And I'm using a thinner pencil too, which helps. Let's see, we're gonna give him a little notch there because that's kind of where the armpit is. The elbow I'm not quite so worried about because that's turned away from us anyway. And you know, like even through people's skin, even like bodybuilders and stuff, you can't necessarily see all of their muscles and stuff, so I'm not too terribly worried about showing off all of his muscle definition. Although I am a little worried about his hands, because hands are so hard. Anybody who's tried to do hands before would you know hands are just a pain. That's fine. And again, we're not doing like quite all of the muscle going on here, and certainly not at the same line weight. That's important. I think that's probably more important than getting all the lines exactly right, is like line weight and approximation and stuff. It's all very important to make it look about right more than exactly right. Cartoons are all about exaggeration anyway, and a lot of details are lost for the sake of animation, you know? These lines in here are more important because this is where a lot of tension in his body is right now, is in the core, because he's holding he's holding himself up. So like this area here is actually getting all the lines and stuff here is actually a lot more important, because this is where a lot of the tension is. So, and a lot of the like power of the poses in his core. You'd think a lot of it's in the arm, but it's a lot of it's, you know, you gotta, if you're hanging off like that, I mean, you can kind of relax it, but he's like swinging, right? And that's gonna take full body. Plus, they're abs. Everyone likes abs. Can't go wrong with abs. Okay, anyway. Also gotta make sure that I get some of these. That doesn't look quite right, does it? Let's see. If you're tilted over the side, then the line comes here. So it's more like they fold kind of around here. Yeah. That's not quite right either. I think maybe I needed to do another definition pass through here. Probably would have been good. And now I'm kind of just picking and choosing which lines that I want to keep and, you know, all that good stuff. go. I may have made his thighs a little too thick, but it is what it is. And then his feet are basically just... They almost look like high heels, honestly. I had a comment during my... what's it called? Portfolio show. About his feminine qualities. I thought it was very weird, because I showed him off. I showed off this piece here, right? Well, not this one exactly. It was this guy. Open up. There we go. And so we were talking about how you know, he had these, you know, the arms and the legs and the shape of his clothing and the colors and everything. But the oh, who was he? He was actually a faculty in the film department. Was talking about all these, like, man, you know, he's got this nice you know, curve kind of in the waist, you know, and he's, you know, the pose and everything. He's got quite a few nice sort of feminine qualities, and I'm like, you know, I didn't design him with that in mind, but sure, if you like that, then go with that. And part of it was the feet were, you know, kind of, he said they were kind of dainty feet for someone so beefy. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, I guess that's fair. It's not something that I necessarily, you know, thought through that in that way. Of course, I also haven't really thought through stuff like gender dimorphism for this guy. I have no idea. I mean, he was one of those guys that was like, oh, you know, we all have masculine and feminine qualities to us. You know, we are all men and women at the same time. It's just a matter of perspective, man. Um, he definitely kind of felt or came off that way to me a little bit. But it was still, I was still having fun, and, you know, it was a nice conversation to, you know, hadn't had a whole lot of um, discussion at that kind of a level. I will say he definitely was everyone's favorite character that I had at the show. It really was. It really was. I was talking, you know, I was talking from a design perspective, and so I'd be saying things like, um, you know, I was thinking about, okay, where does he live? How does he do things? You know, like in this other image, he's got the teeth. He's definitely a carnivore. I had to think that through. How does he hunt? The image I'm drawing now is based on, okay, yeah, he brachiates a lot, which is where he swings from things with his arms to get around. And so that's a part of the reason why I gave him the goat legs, is because, or the goat feet, is because goats are better at climbing than, like, say, a horse. And he was like, oh man, you know, I wish some of my film students put that much thought and effort into, you know, what they did. So it was a nice conversation. It was a little weird because, again, I don't find this guy to be super feminine at all. But you know, it was nice to feel appreciated. Hornless rhino. That's interesting. I wonder why. Is it the nostrils and like the muzzle? Because I hadn't really thought of rhino. Not that I'm against rhino. I'm just always interested in you know, where that kind of stuff comes from when people interpret my work. Oh yeah. I mean, you know, I always gotta try to improve my work, you know. Thanks for noticing. uh if I want to be taken seriously as like, you know, kind of a professional artist or whatever, I gotta pretend like I'm serious. Or not even pretend. I gotta take it seriously. Okay. Well, he does have. It's interesting too because he does have. This is all skin. He doesn't have fur or hair. I mean, he does have a little bit of hair, but this is all in my head when I was drawing him. This was all skin tone. So it's interesting that you brought up Rhino. Okay. Anyway, so next thing I want to do is add kind of extra details. Well, if you ever want anything drawn, just let me know. We can discuss. I don't charge a lot. Um, anyway, getting on to costuming. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with the jacket this time. Or I could leave him with less clothes. I don't know. What do you guys think? I like the jacket. The jacket's my favorite. But he does have, um, you know, other costuming ideas and stuff I could give him. Because there's not a whole lot else to him other than just color. I'm gonna give him his shorts. At the very least, because this is YouTube. I'm not trying to do nudes or anything here. And then I think I'm gonna do his crown. Which, funny story, the older design for him was kind of this unicorn, and so just like, because I'm like, there's not, I've never heard of a character design that's some sort of awesome, badass unicorn warrior guy, right? Oh, I'm doing that on the wrong layer. Huh. Okay, let's see how far back I can take that. That's bad. Yep. Yep, that's real bad. Okay, it's fine. Anyway, I've never heard of a character design for a unicorn warrior guy. So I started him out with that sort of design in mind, and then when I was going through the redesign process, I ended up with this. Okay, let's try and fix some of this. There we go, that's better. Yeah, exactly. And so I was inspired by, if you've seen the movie Stargate or the TV show Stargate or whatever, they have um these armor pieces and stuff based on Egyptian mythology. And that led me to sort of explore, okay, well, what kind of I ended up building sort of this unicorn power armor. It looked pretty cool, kind of had a Greco-Roman vibe. I liked it. But people really seemed to latch on to just because for contrast, I just did a horse dude. And people seemed to really latch onto the horse dude, so that's kind of what the character design eventually became. Originally, it was just some power armor that was going to be for, just anybody could wear it. And then, oh, yeah, SG-1 is tons better. I didn't hate Stargate Universe, but I didn't love it. I think it's got a great cast, but I think the show itself is a little lacking. Anyway, yeah, I would recommend watching SG-1 for sure. And so I built that sort of power armor idea, and it evolved into just a straight up unicorn man. And then from there, I developed him further into this, and so this sort of headpiece sort of thing is a holdover from. Stop erasing that. I need to straighten out my layers. This crown piece is kind of a holdover from that idea where he actually had a horn. And these are actually, so you can kind of see he just wears these bits of like metal. This part's going to be hard because I'm not really sure how it would interact with his pecs moving around so much. I feel like maybe it would kind of lean over a little bit. And then I think if we just give him the, yeah, I think we can give him the shorts and probably the loincloth if we wanted. A musketeer mouse? Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You know what? Maybe he's just exercising. So we go ahead and let's go ahead and not have him in his. I still haven't decided what all the gold bits are even for, but maybe he's just working out. We'll just do that. Could give him a shirt. He doesn't really do shirts. I mean, he doesn't not do shirts, but he doesn't really do shirts. Gloves, though, would be helpful. People wear climbing gloves. Maybe he goes mountain climbing. Basketball dunk pose. I could. Let's see. That might look weird though. Let's see how it looks. Let's just put a vaguely orange thing. It kind of does look like a basketball pose now. Ah, damn, I hadn't thought of that. That's funny. Okay, anyway. Now we're going to take these and we're going to fade those out a little bit. Because I think all I got to do to finish this up is like do one more pass and then kind of just color over it, you know? So I think that's what we're going to do. And here I'm going to try and get a lot more kind of into the details. And a lot more precise. Give him a little furrowed brow. Gotta try and get a good expression on him. And I think, yeah, I do have his ears up like that. I think that's how that's going to go. Kind of that alert pose. Whew. Ooh. Want to make sure I get the lines a little bit thicker, kind of where the shadows would naturally be anyway. But also, like, just where it would make sense to me, I think. So, like, on the outside of his body for sure, or like towards the back. That kind of thing. I haven't quite mastered line weight like some people have, but I do at least have a familiarity with the concept. That actually needs to curve, kind of. More like that. I think I can actually thin out this line a bit. Clothing folds is another thing that's also quite difficult, but there's a lot more resources when it comes to that. It's a lot easier to find references and stuff like that. So that's a little too sketchy. Sometimes being sketchy is fine. It's a style. It's a choice. That's kind of where the navel should be. Whoops. Okay, and then bring those lines together a little bit more. Oop. That was a mess. Could be a little bit thicker. I do have pretty thick lines on him in general. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's some great cartoons that look a little weird. I mean, Rick and Morty for one. I mean, they look weird. I mean, I think they use more. They use a software called, oh, what's it called? Pipe something? Tube Animator, something like that. But the eyeballs, the pupils that they use in Rick and Morty, are actually holdovers from how the sort of shorthand that the concept artist used on their eyes. Or maybe not concept artist, but you know, the guy who drew them. Did their eyes with the little like, just like that kind of thing. So they just started doing that. Japanese art tend to tolerate sketchy lines much less. That is true. They have a lot of precision in their lines. I don't know if they tolerate it less than Americans do, but they certainly have a lot thinner lines in anime these days, and a lot more precise lines in anime these days. Oh, you know what? If you want a good example of weird, sketchy stuff, but like from Japan, watch Mob Psycho 100. That show is almost, like, I almost want to say it's ugly. But it's also amazing. Like, the animation quality is so good, and then, I don't know, the rest of it just kind of grows on you. But it looks really wonky to begin with. That show has really grown on me lately, and mostly for its storytelling, to be honest. Characterizations and everything, so it's really good. I'm gonna get a lot thicker lines under here because that's where the shadow is sort of assumed to be. The death battles. Oh. Yeah, yeah. Well, because... So, Mob Psycho was created by the same guy who did One Punch Man, and if you know anything about One Punch Man... yeah, both of them do, actually. One Punch Man and Mob Psycho both have, like, the main character looks just kind of bored and completely unremarkable. It's pretty fantastic. And like everybody's like, you're like the most powerful psychic person ever, and he's like, I don't really care. It's interesting because they have very similar stories if you stop and think about it. Mob Psycho and One Punch Man. They're both about super powerful people who just don't care about being super powerful. Or like having superpowers doesn't help them with their day-to-day life kind of stuff. Which I find just terribly, terribly amusing. Man, you are totally right. It does look like a basketball dunk pose. Oh my gosh. Dragon Punch. Ah, that'd be interesting. I hadn't thought about him, you know, it being like it wasn't a rising motion in my head. It was more of a hanging sort of a thing. But it totally could be a rising motion. I guess I could turn it the other way if you think that would work better. Still working on my T-poses. uh... T-poses are actually a lot harder than like you'd assume, because you gotta try and get them as symmetrical as possible. And some people don't even do them. Some people, I know, when I was in school, I knew some people would prefer doing like an A pose to a T pose, where they're, you know, feet apart like that, and then their arms would just kind of be at their sides or whatever. I knew a lot of people who did their work like that. I always try and add some sort of personality to it. Like, I'll do the A pose, I'll do a T pose, but then I like to do a pose kind of off to the side that shows more personality for the character. And I still haven't decided on fingernails, you know? Fingernails are weird. Like, I'm trying to think, would he even need fingernails? Is that a thing for him? Is that, like, do his people not care about fingernails? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I've been thinking about giving him claws, but I kind of like the big square fingers. Oh, yeah. You're right. Fingernails and hooves are very similar. I've also been kind of reconsidering the whole skin part, because like I said, he doesn't really have any fur or hair or anything, and I'm like, well, maybe that'd be weird, because if I ever wanted to draw him in more detail, then would I want him to have fur? And I'm like, I don't know. I really haven't decided yet. All I can... Oh, God. Man, the Ninja Turtle, like the old, like in the old movies with the funny, plastic lips. That'd be crazy. Okay, so I do want to take a look at his hands in proportion to, like, each other. I do think that this hand up here is a little too big. But you know what? It's okay to make mistakes. So where do I want to put the knuckles? So obviously first knuckle needs to be here, next knuckle is here, and then I think we just bring the thumb just directly in. I think that's what we do. So he's going to have his thumb kind of tucked in. Okay, now, if his thumb's in there, then we need to bring the start of his fingers back a little bit. And then his fingers need to curl a little bit sooner too. More like that. Thanks, that is what I'm going for. I'm glad we finally got there. And then we just take those away. And then it's coloring and deciding what he's gripping on. I'll probably keep that simple. You know what? If he's gripping against like a flat surface, like if I made this a wall, like just this, I feel like and just like his fingers over the top of that, I feel like he'd need to have, well, no, maybe not. Because I was thinking maybe his thumb would need to come closer in line with the rest of his hand to be like flat up against it, but maybe the angle works. I don't know. We'll figure that out in a second. First, coloring. And I've got something for that. I've actually got, somewhere I've got guidelines. Here we go. So right here, I've made swatches. Because believe it or not, that is not actually the color of his skin. It's actually this purple color. The reason it looks more grayish is because of the lighting that I put over the top of it. He is very, very much actually this purple color here. Because, I don't know, I like the color purple. And then you can add some lighting effects and stuff to make it look, because I put like yellow sort of filter things over the top of him, stuff like that, to give it more of like what he would look in the daytime or the nighttime, that kind of thing. You know what? Maybe I should just color this in the old-fashioned way instead of trying to take stuff away. We add the color. And if I wanted to get real fancy, I would take it from here and try to paint over the top of it to turn it into a painting, but I'm not feeling that fancy today. I always thought that was so cool. Samuel L. Jackson with a purple lightsaber. And it's also the reason why I actually used a very dark purple instead of black for my line art, is because once upon a time, I was told never to use black. And also, I think it makes him feel a little bit more natural as far as fitting with you know, because like black lines around a person don't really feel real. That's a cartoon thing. Giving him lines that are closer to his actual color, I feel like make the lines a little bit less impactful. That's what I'm trying to say. It's certainly possible. Rhinos do have that gray color. And all I did really is, I can show you here, was I took some yellow and I made a screen layer, I think it was, and then I just kind of, oh no, not a screen layer, what was it? Overlay layer. There we go. And then and then I decided, okay, well, the light would be hitting him here, the light would be hitting him here. So like you see, I put, and it kind of well, I must have used a different yellow, but like basically, you know, you add an extra amount of depth to it, and you're like, okay, well, there's muscles here, there's muscles here, and it's adding light values and shadow to the character, and that's how I ended up with what you see here. And I used blue for the shadows and like a yellow color for the highlights. And for some reason, that just, you know, created a sort of brownish grayish color. Okay, so now I've got that. And let's go back to my color swatches here. Clothing is going to be that color. I'm going to put that on another layer though, because I like to keep my color layers separate whenever I can, just in case I mess them up somehow or overlap them in a weird way. And in fact, if I have time today, I can probably do a lighting pass. I just want to focus on getting the colors on him. But I might be able to demo a lighting pass today. We'll have to see how long this part takes me. We're already pushing 2 hours. If not, I'll do it tomorrow. I don't think I have anything scheduled for tomorrow, so should be able to stream no problem and finish this up. Another kind of important side note that I haven't actually written down anywhere is that while I'm coloring his clothes in like a dark, kind of black color, his hooves are actually always the same color as the lines that you use to draw him. So that dark purple color that I used to draw the lines, that's the same color that his hooves are. And it doesn't matter what I use for the lines as far as color. Like if I use like a dark blue or a dark red instead, the hooves always need to match that. Sort of a special rule, I guess. Oh, is it squeaking a lot? Honestly, I haven't noticed. It's been a long time since you get used to things. I'll put it that way. You get used to things. And I guess I'm just used to hearing the squeaks. Squeakity squeaks, squeak, squeakers, squeak 'em. Okay, and next, his eyes are blue. And I gave him kind of solid eyes instead of doing like pupils and irises and stuff like that because he is alien. And I wanted to push him more towards being more like an animal or an alien, non-human kind of thing. So he's got big old, eyes, kind of more like you'd see on like a dog or a horse. Where the irises are quite large. So I just color in the whole thing, really. And then we get to do the sort of gray marking, which I probably should have done before, but I forgot to do it. So here we are. This is the part where I got to get a little more exact. So, because he's got specific shapes. So I like to kind of draw this part out first. Oh. And make sure I get those shapes correct. That doesn't seem right. Okay, there's just a speck. There's a little speck. Okay. And then this next part's going to be actually a pretty decent sized chunk of his neck. And then I'm gonna have to switch to my other file where he's not wearing clothes because that jacket is blocking my view. There we go. There we go. So next, let's bring up actually one of my muscle sections here because I think that's gonna give me a good idea of where to put these lines. Because the lines actually stop before you hit the shoulder. But also basically at the bottom of the pectoral. Yeah. And then it comes in here, and then it's actually going to cover most of the stomach panel. Yeah, most of it. So we just need to bring that in. And then it kind of creates that look to it. It's going to come up. Not there. Let's see. This comes down here, and that's where, because his pectoral goes, you know, feeds up into this, but we don't do that because it's going to end sooner. And I think maybe this just goes straight down into it. Maybe not. I haven't actually drawn him at this angle before, so this is kind of a new deal for me. Okay. I think that looks good. Next are his, oh, he's got the underarm thing, which is really just from the armpit and covering some of the bicep. But ending before the elbow. Oh no, I put that all in the same layer. God dang it. Again? Again I did that. What to do? Well, that's okay. Oh, I didn't do that all on the same layer. I did the face on a different layer like I was supposed to. I just picked the wrong layer when I went to do the other stuff. Ugh. There it is. Man, I'm bad. Okay, let's try that again. So we go... basically just there. And then... also there. Connect that line there. This bone connect to that bone. And then this comes down like that. Cuts down onto there. Comes down onto there. And then that just goes all the way down. And then this... comes in. Ooh. Got to curve around the muscles. And then I think he's got the same kind of deal. Yeah, that goes all the way down his legs to his thighs. Just kind of the inner thigh. And then inside his ear. Do-do-do. And now that I'm thinking about it, when if I had to say like what inspired a lot of his design, it's probably the character Goliath from Gargoyles, who is also a big beefy purple boy. And I don't think I've ever actually made that connection before, but it makes perfect sense to me. And then with my lighting pass, I'd probably, well, I might not need to, but I feel like I would want to come back into this sort of muscle sketch layer that I did. To make sure that I light him properly according to the musculature and where the light would hit it, all that kind of stuff. But I'm not really going to do that today, so there we go. Okay, and then if I turn that layer back on, and that layer back off, and there you have him. That's basically him. Oh yeah. I mean, you gotta try and imagine these things in 3 dimensions. I mean, you see how, like right in here with his abs, he's got this little, let me pop a layer on top of this so that I don't ruin things. Here we go. But you see how he's got kind of a little bit of like it's poking out, like it's sticking out, like it's bulging a little bit. Whereas like this side is more smooth because this side is stretched out this way, right? So all the muscles are stretched out, but these muscles are being more compacted. So that is going to result in them stretching or doing a squash and stretch is the term. And so they're actually going to be spreading further out horizontally instead of vertically. So I got to basically pull one side of his body vertically while also expanding the other side of his body more horizontally. And that's that. Is that my phone? Is that what it sounds like when my phone rings? Amber Alert. Oh no. Huh. Okay. There is an Amber Alert. But yeah, wow, that's, man, what a somber note to end on. There he is. There's shoot, I forget how to pronounce his name. Ark. I call him Ark for short because his full name is weird. I have it written down somewhere. Oh, it's right here at the top. Arkip? No, it's not Arkip. I don't know. I think it's German or something, or maybe Russian. I forget. But I liked it. I could shorten it to Ark, which is, I like it, and there you go. I'm not guilty. Nah. I mean, if you're in the, what was it, Idaho area? There is apparently a car missing, or that might have something to do with this Amber Alert. I don't know how to read Amber Alerts very well. But I hope everything ends up okay. You know what I used to have in one of his old designs is he had this like whole tattoo thing going on that I had on him. I wonder if I could bring that back at all. I don't know, it might overcomplicate his design. I took the tail away too when he used to be a horse guy. I wonder if I still have that file. Pop it on real quick before I end the thing. Yeah, so here is an example of what I was talking about, the day and night thing. So like this is him without color, without lighting on him. And then here is, you know, I got a little sun, that's him during the daytime. So it changes his skin tone kind of drastically. Makes him look a lot more brown. And then I did a nighttime pass at him, make him look a lot more blue, but a lot of things look more blue at night, to be honest. And then one of his old designs, I can bring it up if it'll load. Maybe. Ooh, is the file really that big? Here we go. So this is kind of what I was talking about when I was working on him. I had a couple designs based on the old stories of, like, you know, the maiden and the unicorn. So I had this warrior girl with like a spear, and I don't have the power armor on this sheet for some reason. But this was an old. This was kind of what the final design was. The old final design was where he had these robot arms, because of course horses don't have arms, silly. And laser weapons, because I don't know, it seemed cool at the time. But I had these. Here they are. These sort of tattoo designs going on. On him, and I kind of like those. Curious if bringing them back would be a terrible idea or not. And then at one point I had them all glowy like this. It was pretty cool. He had a laser horn in this design, and his tail is wrapped back there. You can kind of see it. But he's been through a lot of design iterations, as you can see. But definitely started out with more of a Greco-Roman vibe. Anyway, now he's this boy. And I think this is basically the way I want to keep him. Yeah. That was part of the direction I was taking him in. And that whole Greco-Roman thing with the fables and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely wanted him to push more towards Alien for the sort of project I want to work on him, or with him on. How would I word that? The project I want to have him in doesn't really serve a purpose to have him be a crazy Greco-Roman space gladiator unicorn guy, because that is a little bit of a mouthful. Almost forgot to do the soft underside of his fingers. Well, they're not soft necessarily, but they are the underside of the finger, which is generally a little softer. There we go. Okay. That is going to be it for today. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I had fun. Got to show off my big purple boy. Doing some big purple boy things, I guess. I have one of my Patreon images coming up will be featuring Archeep here. Probably butchered the pronunciation, but hey, I try. And not for this month. This month I have a different character in mind, but next month I'll probably do him, and should be fun. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys tomorrow for a lighting pass, and then we'll do backgrounds if I got time, and turn this into a whole thing. Until then, goodbye, friends.